listening to Green Party Radio, coming to you live on the Bernie Crafts Radio Network. And now, here's your host, Larry Ellis.
Good evening. I'm Larry Ellis, and you're not. Welcome to our second special episode of Green Party Radio.
Wait, hold on, Larry. The last one was special episode. This one I called Special Edition. I don't know what the hell the difference is, but hey, I figured it's something different.
So this is our first special edition.
Exactly. Special edition sounds more urgent, because we needed to get on the air and do a show before Hillary freaking drops dead. So.
Hey, speaking of Hillary dropping dead, I'm sure it's not true, but I saw a YouTube clip a little while ago. I posted it on Facebook.
Yeah, I just saw that. You shared it with me, yeah.
Reported her death.
Yeah, I mean, God, I don't see celebration and dancing in the streets. So
I don't hear fireworks going off anywhere, so I'm assuming it's not true.
Yeah,
There's a lot of guns. There's a lot of guns in the neighborhood I live in. I don't hear any getting fired. So. Yeah,
exactly.
So I'm going to have to go ahead and debunk that one.
Yeah, I'm going to assume.
But we do need to discuss what happened.
Definitely.
A lot of people, especially, Hillbots, people wearing their blue sunglasses like Hillary Clinton, will say, oh, it's just pneumonia. Oh, it was just hot, overheated. Well, from what I can gather, it was 77 degrees in New York.
With 39% humidity.
You don't get a heat stroke or heat exhaustion in that type of weather. It just doesn't happen.
No, it's impossible.
But you also don't just go from standing there to passing out in 77-degree weather.
No, and you saw the clip of her just standing there. There was a woman holding her up when she was just standing there waiting for the van.
She was being held up, standing leaning against a pole.
Yeah, exactly.
A concrete barrier. And they didn't just help her. They didn't just help her in. They had to drag her in. I saw the video of the close-up where they zoomed on her feet, and she was literally being drugged. That's why her shoe fell off. She was being drugged in.
Oh, yeah, her legs totally went. Yeah.
Right, yeah. And since when is it the Secret Service's job to protect her from the media? To hide what's happening? No, I can understand it. They got to protect her from people wanting to shoot her.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it, but I can understand it.
Yeah, I mean, I wish they wouldn't, but, whatever. Now, we have to throw out the disclaimer, nowadays. Don't go out and shoot Hillary. We're not suggesting it. We're not encouraging it. Please don't do it, okay?
Uh-huh.
In the days we live in now, you have to throw in that disclaimer. But I will throw in, if you shoot her, don't say you heard it here.
Right. We do not encourage it.
No,
I'm not discouraging or encouraging. I am staying neutral.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this episode on Law and Order once, and as long as we, just say, hey, do what your heart tells you to do, don't, we're not encouraging or discouraging anything, I think we're legally covered, so.
Right. I think we'll be okay. And plus, we got to discuss when somebody came out of Chelsea's apartment, because there's no way in hell that was Hillary Clinton. That woman was a good 30 to 40 pounds lighter than Hillary Clinton, and at least 15 years younger. Did she go into Chelsea's apartment and get a Botox treatment and liposuction along with pneumonia cure? I mean, what's going on in that apartment? There people be lining up for that shit.
Did Chelsea go to medical school? I don't know.
Dead. You go in looking like the Walking Dead, and you come out, looking great, feeling great. Just a little kid with pneumonia.
No problem.
Right now, I see Hillbot saying, well, pneumonia is not contagious. Well, what planet are you from?
Yeah. Well, but now in fairness, in fairness, there is a certain pneumonia that isn't contagious, but it's because you have some other really serious disease that's causing this pneumonia.
It's called Parkinson's.
Well, yeah, that's what
Exactly.
it was. Yeah, you can get a pneumonia from Parkinson's. Yeah, that is not contagious because Parkinson's isn't contagious.
It's aspirating pneumonia or something like that, where you actually start choking on your own food. It gets in your lungs. And that makes sense because I saw a clip of Hillary. Yes, I saw a clip where Hillary Clinton was choking, coughing, whatever, and had to take a drink of water, and she spit stuff into her glass. It was disgusting. Which goes along with the Parkinson's theory. You know,
she's a spitter, so that explains why Bill screws around on her so much, I guess.
Why would Bill care if she spits or swallows as long as she catches?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But maybe Bill's not into spitting. You know, maybe he's a die-hard Swallow fan. I don't know.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not at all. Hey, lots of people.
But you know that I've also heard that she has vascular dementia, which comes from stroke.
Yeah.
You know, and that would go along with what Huma said in her emails about Hillary Clinton often being confused.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm sorry. I don't want a confused president. Vascular dementia can affect your judgment, you know, your decision-making, everything.
Yeah. Well,
you know, now Clinton's saying, well, I didn't know disclosing pneumonia would be such a big deal. But if you had pneumonia, it wouldn't be a big deal. People get sick. Even presidential candidates do get sick. But we know that's not what's going on.
Yeah. And, you know, you've got...
You know, she is suffering, Don, she's suffering from the side effects of the medication from Parkinson's disease. I'm damn near convinced of it.
Hey, that's certainly possible. You know, and I'm sorry, you know, I was gone all day. I didn't have time to pull the clip up. But we'll have our episode from yesterday, episode 3. I'll have it on the YouTube channel before you're up tomorrow morning. Check out what Dr. Joe Imperato had. He had to say. He had a lot of interesting things to say about Hillary. Just speculation, of course, but there's a lot of good information. Be sure you check out that episode. It's about 25 minutes into the episode, he starts talking about Hillary and gives a lot of good information about what possibly could be going on.
Right, and like you said, it's all just speculation at this point. But if they don't release her medical records, they leave us no choice but to speculate.
Yeah, what else can you do?
And if anybody on this planet does not deserve the benefit of the doubt, it's Hillary Clinton. Because all the Clintons know how to do is lie, and then lie about lying. It's what they've done for their entire careers. How does a public servant become a multimillionaire? $250 million? Through corruption is the only way. The only way a public servant becomes filthy rich is through corruption. It's all coming back to bite her in the ass now. Karma's a bitch.
Yeah, you
I don't know.
Believe in God, be a Hindu, be a Buddha, whatever. Karma is real. What goes around most certainly comes around eventually, okay?
You know, and answer me this. When was the last time, other than Hillary Clinton coming out of Chelsea's apartment, have you seen her without being surrounded by a Secret Service detail? For the last 20-plus years, she's been surrounded by a Secret Service detail.
Basically, yeah.
I mean, where was the Secret Service when she came walking out of the apartment and met that little girl? There was nobody. There was nobody around because that wasn't Hillary Clinton. There's just no way.
Unfortunately, I haven't seen that clip. Did you post it on the Facebook page?
Of Hillary coming out?
Yeah.
No, it's all over Facebook though. I mean, I can post it on our GPR page.
Yeah. So yeah, y'all check it out. Most of you, we're on kind of late. Most of you will probably be listening to the podcast anyway. By then, It'll be posted on Facebook, Green Party Radio USA. So I haven't even seen it yet. I want to check it out. But yeah, she's not going to walk anywhere out of anybody's apartment without Secret Service surrounding her. That's just
especially that big black guy that looks like Kamala, the Ugandan giant. He's with her everywhere. He's the one that was holding the pin, the medical pin.
That's what happened to Kamala. I didn't know. I knew he didn't wrestle anymore.
But the guy's always by her side. She's giving a speech. He's standing right there. She's walking down the street. He's standing right there. Yet this person comes out alleging to be Hillary Clinton, and nobody's around. And
yeah,
I don't know. Like I said, she had a Botox treatment while she was there with Chelsea, or what, because her wrinkles are all gone. Her chins are gone. But some people are just so blind that they will believe anything they see on TV.
Sure.
Sheeple. We're a nation full of frickin' sheeple.
Yes, and it is sad.
It really is. I mean, we've been dumbed down. Look at the pipelines going through this country, and there's a map. I'm going to find that and post it on our webpage and on our Facebook page too, of the oil spills from pipelines in this country.
Yeah.
And it covers about half the country. Where we grew up, Don, up in the northwest Indiana region, I just saw East Chicago, Indiana. The ground is contaminated with lead.
Sure it is.
Major amounts of it. And they're telling now all of a sudden kids can't go outside and play. But they've been out there playing in that dirt for their entire lives. And what are the side effects of lead poisoning? Well, one of them is the inability to stop yourself from doing violent things.
Yeah.
And that goes right into the prison industrial complex, because it's the inner cities and the poor people that still have lead pipes. So if they're poisoning the children of the inner cities and then calling them a bunch of super predators and throwing them in prison, it's promoting their racism. It's exactly what it is.
Sure.
You don't hear about suburbs with lead poisoning. It just doesn't happen.
No,
it's always in the predominantly poor neighborhoods.
Yeah, poor part of town. And, I mean, let's face it, for the most part, still in this country, the poor part of town is the black part of town. Now, East Chicago is a little different. East Chicago is mostly Latino. You got Mexicans and Puerto Ricans for the most part. And, there are lots of places like that. But, hey, let's not, I lived in Black Oak for a couple of years not that long ago. And, that's just, I won't say the word, but Red Fox, we got plenty of white N-words out there too,
Well, just so people that don't understand where Black Oak is actually a suburb of Gary, Indiana.
Gary, it's a little section of Gary. It's not even a suburb anymore. Technically, Gary finally annexed it, so it's part of Gary. But if you go look at the demographics of Gary, it's like 95%
it's the
black
poor white
now.
Trash. It's the poor white trash part of Gary, Indiana.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the 5% white people, and it's nothing but trailer parks,
Yeah.
And like you said, poor white trash. Hey, not there's anything wrong with that. We were poor white trash for a long time. So.
Hey, I stayed in one of those trailer parks in Black Oak.
So did
my cousin BJ. God rest his soul.
God rest his soul. That was cool.
But back to the subject at hand, Hillary Clinton's health. I can't stand this woman, Cokie Roberts. The mere thought of her name crossing my lips starts my gag reflex. But she was on NPR today discussing the possibility of Hillary Clinton being removed.
Well, that's a big part of the story. It kind of, that was a big part of why you wanted to do this show, so we could discuss just that situation. And let's face it, there's conspiracy theories everywhere, blah, blah, blah. But I wonder if the Democrats finally figured out Hillary just might not beat Donald Trump. I mean, the polls have been saying that since last year at this time, the Hillary versus
the polls
Trump
are coming out. I saw multiple polls just today that had Hillary Clinton getting beat by Donald Trump by 30 and 40 points. Reality polls, not polls.
Yeah.
Not polls put out by the mainstream media.
No.
Not polls that are put out by companies that are owned by Clinton and the establishment.
Yep.
They want us to believe that she's ahead, so we'll vote for her. They're trying to put the cart in front of the horse because everybody wants to pick a winner. Well, if she's winning, then they'll pick her. But that's not the case. Hillary Clinton will not become president unless they cheat their asses off.
Yeah, and it's going to be a lot harder to cheat the Republicans. The Democrats cheating Bernie was one thing because it was all the Democrats. They all had the same goal in mind. The Republicans are not going to just stand back and let themselves get cheated.
Correct.
And so because of that, hey, maybe they're telling Hillary, hey, you need to go out and look sick so we have an excuse to pull you as a candidate and put Bernie in there, who all along beats Trump 2-1.
Well, they're not even saying they'll put Bernie in there. If they want to win the White House, they're going to have to give Bernie Sanders the nomination.
I totally agree because I don't. I know your position has always been staunch.
Yep.
If Hillary's on the ballot, she'll win because she'll cheat. And hey, I have no doubt that they'll cheat, but I'm not sure they can cheat the Republicans enough. Except because they have competition this time. It's not just trying to cheat another Democrat. The DNC controls it all. It's a little different trying to cheat the other part.
Remember this, Don. I brought it up on our last episode. There were counties that Obama won 160% of the vote.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
So don't tell me that they can't cheat it enough, because they can. Because what they do, because we're all spread out over the country. People don't. If everybody was in the same spot voting and could discuss who they voted for, then sure they couldn't cheat it. But we're spread out over the entire nation voting. Look at California. Everybody knew they cheated. California is probably the worst election fraud in the history of the United States.
Very well could be.
And they got away with it. Now, like you said, there was no Republican backlash from that cheating, because the Republicans don't want Bernie in there either.
Oh, hell no.
The Republicans. Now, when I say the Republicans, I mean the Republican establishment. Because I guarantee you the Republican people, the poor folk like you and me, though we're not Republicans, but the poor Republicans would rather have Bernie than Hillary. I guarantee it, because they hate Hillary Clinton. They hate Hillary Clinton worse than they hate Obama, and that's some hate.
Yeah.
That's some professional hate going on with Barack Obama. And they hate Hillary more than him.
Without a doubt.
They've been waiting for years to attack Hillary Clinton. But now the establishment won't do it because the Republican establishment would rather have Clinton than Trump.
Yeah.
They would.
Yeah. I mean,
it's ridiculous. The entire freaking world is turning upside down. And they might as well have Trump run as a Democrat and Hillary run as a Republican.
I have yet to see one commercial for Donald Trump on TV. Not one. Hillary,
I don't think I have it.
I should take that back, because Hillary's commercials are all nothing but Donald Trump commercials. Hillary's commercials never said one thing.
Fear-mongering.
Never said one thing. I mean, you see her commercials. I've seen 3 or 4 different ones. All of them, all they do is say Donald Trump this, Donald Trump that, Donald Trump sucks. You got to vote for me because we can't. Nothing about what Hillary wants to do for this country, and that's the way they want it.
Well, yeah, because they don't want Hillary Clinton to have to come out there and lie to our faces more. because that's all she could
No,
do.
exactly.
Because if Hillary Clinton came out and spoke to what she was actually wanting to do, nobody would vote for her.
Yeah.
Because she'd have to come out and say, yeah, I promoted the TPP around the world when I was Secretary of State. I helped write the damn thing. Why do you think that the Obama administration won't let the State Department release anything that has to do with the TPP until after the election?
Yep.
Because Clinton had a lot to do with it. Same with fracking. You know, I live in Oklahoma, and at least people are just now starting to wake up. And there were a lot of people in Oklahoma that say, yeah, fracking is bad.
Well,
we had a 5.6 earthquake. 5.6 was like our third biggest ever.
And it was
people are waking up saying, whoa, shit. What's that?
And it was fracking. I mean, that was a fracking earthquake.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's no the studies are done. It's over. Fracking is the cause of Oklahoma's earthquakes. They didn't have earthquakes in Oklahoma.
No,
before
there's
fracking.
no fault lines in Oklahoma. The plates of the earth don't meet in Oklahoma. They meet about about maybe 300 or 400 miles east of there. You know,
well, no, Don. Actually, now I think they have woken up a dormant one. I think I saw that. My wife showed me an article today or yesterday that they have discovered a fault line that now exists in Oklahoma. Yeah, was it there before? I don't know.
Okay.
Does it fracking cause it? But you got to understand the tectonic plates. The Atlantic tectonic plate is pushing against the eastern seaboard, and the Pacific plate is pushing against the western. So the United States is being crunched right now. It's being pushed from both sides, and it's going to have to give somewhere.
Yep.
You know, maybe the Oklahoma faults and earthquakes are preventing the New Madrid fault from going.
Could be.
The shit's going to crack somewhere. I mean, think of the Earth's crust as Swiss cheese, because that's what we're doing to it. We're sucking everything out of it and pumping hydraulic water back into it. It makes everything slide. You know, it reminds me back to, God, it's been 5 years at least. Well, I used to go on a website called Topics. You remember Topics, Topix?
Yeah, you get a lot of crazy people on there, you know, but you do some good stuff.
There was a story. It's called "Hundreds of Birds Die in Western Kentucky." It was at Murray State. Okay, and it was happening all around the world, and it's still happening to this day, where thousands of fish are dying and washing up on shore. They don't know how it happened. A whole bunch of reindeer, like thousands of reindeer. They said they were struck by lightning and all died at once, an entire herd.
Yeah. Which
to me seemed kind of far-fetched, unless they were all standing around holding each other when the lightning struck one.
Yeah, but they're playing Red Rover.
Right. And it was methane gas being burped. You know, the Arkansas River had a big fish kill. Then they discovered methane coming out of the river. You know, if a flock of birds dies to a pocket of methane, a flock of birds dies. And they all wind up, boom, well, how do all these birds die? Because the methane is now gone, the culprit, the killer is gone. And that was the whole article that started the conversation of why were these birds all dying. And through research, I realized it's methane gas. And methane does leak naturally from our crust. And we start fracking all around the world. Our water supplies are getting poisoned. You know, so if our drinking water is poisoned,
it's like Mandy Kenny. You know, she always says, you know, water's going to be the new oil. They're messing with our water supply so much that eventually, we're going to be. It's going to be rationed like oil because we're not going to have enough.
Dude, rivers around the world are drying up. Look what's going on in Russia and China. Hillary Clinton said it years ago. I'll have to find this story that Hillary Clinton said the next world war is going to be fought over water.
Yeah.
She said that. It's been years ago.
Well,
And it's
why
going
do
to
you
be.
think the airplanes are flying overhead trying to make clouds to make more water?
Well, sure, because there's only so much fresh water on the planet. So the fresh water is trapped in the clouds. Well, if we get all the water to fall on us, that means it's not falling on somebody else.
Yep.
It's that simple. You know, there's a lot of people out there fighting the good fight. They're using wastewater now in the Sahara Desert to grow trees. And they're growing fast because of the climate. Now, you can't use wastewater for vegetables and food.
Sure.
Because it would make your food toxic. But you can grow trees with it. And you can use those trees for building products or for heating supplies. You can't eat them. They're no good to eat. But yeah, they're popping up forests in the desert now with wastewater. Seems like a brilliant idea to me. Of course, hemp, which grows 4 times faster than a tree and returns oxygen back into the atmosphere faster than a tree, still illegal right now. We can't do it. We're working on it.
Yeah. They're still working. It's been like 2 years now. They've been working on it in Kentucky, trying to make it legal.
Sure, replace coal. Where are all the coal miners going to get jobs? We stop the coal.
Processing hemp.
And people are so stupid, Don. Hemp doesn't even necessarily have to have THC in it.
No. Hemp. Let's tell the story. You remember back when I was probably 16 years old, so you were 14. We were detasseling corn. And it's one field. If you don't know, I guess we should tell what detasseling corn is. People are like, what the hell is that? You have male corn plants and female corn plants. If you want to make seed corn, so you can grow more corn, you have to get them to mate. So you pull the tassels out of the female plants, and the male plants will pollinate them, and you have seed corn. So, we're going down this field, pulling out the tassels, making minimum wage, which was good when you're 14, And,
$3.35 an hour.
Yep. But, we were young. I remember they gave us back our Social Security we paid in at the end of the year because we were so young. Now in school, you got like an extra $50, $60 check that you didn't tell your parents about. So you go buy real weed with it, allegedly. So we get down to the end of this one field. It ends at a set of railroad tracks. And for 6-8 feet between where the corn ends and the railroad tracks start, nothing but pot plants as far as the eye can see. And now it's hemp, okay, because it's not, we smoked it anyway. We were, 15, 16 years old. We smoked the shit out of it. But, it was
we tried to dry them microwave, didn't we?
Oh, yeah, we dried them out and smoked them up. Smoke them like cigarettes, You get a little buzz just, smoking that much. You should smoke it constantly because it does have trace amounts of THC.
From lack of oxygen in your brain is the only buzz you were getting.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But, what was leftover hemp from during the war. A lot of hemp was grown in Indiana during World War II. And this was just left over. That's the thing about hemp. It just regrows itself. It'd grow there every year. It would die and regrow the next year, Hemp is a wonder plant. You can go online. You can buy so many products made out of hemp. Clothing, backpacks. It's just amazing what you can do with this cheap, easy to grow weed, basically.
I saw a house built out of hemp.
I'm sure you could.
No, I saw it.
The fibers in hemp are among the strongest in the world.
It makes great ropes. And the only reason it couldn't be around was because the Rockefellers owned the paper mills. And heaven forbid somebody put a dent in the Rockefellers' fortunes.
Yeah. Can't have them losing any of their millions,